Well, we got a lot of rain today, like more than I expected to. And it's one of the few rainfalls that we've had all in the month of August right now. That kind of put a damper on my plans, but I guess I can wait and see what happens. Regardless, welcome to another edition of the Warnayuki Cheese Cafe. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. As you will probably see if you've been watching me over the last almost 2 years, one thing I've enjoyed doing is putting together my own spice mixes and trying to show that you can just take your basic ingredients that you have in your spice rack and then making it from scratch. So just to give you a recap of all the ones I've done, I got this one which I've been doing for quite some time, a homemade Montreal steak spice. Spicy, there is a bit of salt in here, pepper, so it's a great blend and a good way to have it with even less salt than what you get at the grocery store. And on a similar note, there is some barbecue seasoning too, if ever you want to have something that's kind of sweet and tangy at the same time. There's Herbes de Provence, French herbs that are popular around the south of France. Good way to get some flavor without the sodium. Italian seasoning, which would have what you would expect, oregano, basil, chili peppers, and if I was to smell it, I would probably smell these chili peppers, but that's not going to happen. Then I have this Greek salad seasoning, which looks like I'm kind of running low, so I might need to whip up another batch of that later on. And the most recent addition to the catalog is this homemade Cajun seasoning, something that you can use if you're making a jambalaya for Creole dishes, or if you're like me, you would use this to do some barbecue salmon steaks, which I covered in my last grilling episode. So if you want to see that one, I'm going to put a card on the top right corner and you can watch that one. But what I wanted to do today is do a Piri Piri seasoning mix. I want to do that on chicken because if you go around like Portuguese places, Piri Piri is very common. It's a good flavor and it's a kind of a spicy level where it's not going to burn yourself, it's just more like a taste. And the good news is that it's another one of those types of spices that you can put together with almost all of the ingredients already on your spice rack. There might be like one, maybe two things that if you don't have that you might need to get, but overall, it's another one that's simple to make. So we're gonna show you how to do that today. But before we do that, here's my suggestion for you. Hit that subscribe button below and put your notification bell on, because that way, if there's a new episode ready to view, you're gonna get a pop-up on your phone. And while you're at it, give me a thumbs up too. The more likes I get, the more these videos are promoted all across YouTube. So it promotes my channel, the algorithm's gonna share with other suggested videos, so it does help me a lot more than you realized. Now, seems to be clear enough, but I'll play it by ear. If it's clear enough that I don't have to worry about potential thunder showers, I might make this a full grilling episode. If not, we'll just use this spice mix as our reference for today and make it a short one. But first, it wouldn't be a full grilling episode potentially if I wasn't doing a brew for myself. So this is something that's from the Messerem brewery. It's called À la Guillotine Extreme Turbo. So at the Guillotine Extreme Turbo. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be something about the speed or what makes it so extreme, but as you can see, it's one of those kind of almost a graphic artwork here. Makes me think of Canal Fatal that I've had a little while ago. And now that I think about it, Messerem is located around the southwest, like around Point St. Charles, close to the Dreamy Cafe. That's like another brewery that I know I have yet to visit down the road, but you know what? Gotta save it for the next time that's nice. Already did a good round of places to visit, future episodes for my vacation in August. So we'll just add that to the back burner and hopefully I could do it while it's still nice. If not, well, we'll probably wait until next year and then give myself another reason to do this when it's summertime. So in terms of the hops, I see there's Motueka, Nectaron, Citra. 3 of them that I know because I see them in variants of New England IPA. But then there's Superdelic and Citra Incognito. I'll admit, I'm still new to the hop world and I haven't really documented the hops the same way I do with all the other beers, but you know what? To hell with it. It just looks like it's gonna be a good one. Tasty, if a little bit strong, because this is about the 7%er, so it's almost like Four Origins with their MTL State of Mind. I do like that one too. So Once again, if you're going to be making the spice mix, all you really need is a small spice jar to keep on the side. And the good news too is that for all your measurements for your ingredients, you just need a teaspoon and a tablespoon, so you don't have to do any complicated measurements for all of this. And I have a good variety of spices here, but the first thing I'm going to be adding is something I saw that I thought was kind of unusual. 2 tablespoons of sugar. It's not very often I see sugar being used for these spice mixes, unless you're going to be doing, the barbecue seasoning uses brown sugar. Oh, but then at the same time, I believe that my beer can chicken seasoning I use does use that in addition to dry mustard. That was also a fun episode to do, and if you want to revisit the revisit I did of that, I'll put a card in the top right corner for you because I recorded it once back in 2021 and then revisited it again when I was using my current production values on the channel. That was, 2023 that I did that. So here we are, 2 tablespoons of sugar. Then the next thing I'm going to need is, just going to get my cheat sheet here. 2 tablespoons of paprika. All right, should be relatively straightforward. And if there's any leakage around here, then luckily I'll be able to clean this up very soon. And it's, okay, so it seems to be leaking a little bit. But I did notice something else in here is that the recipe I'm finding calls for regular paprika and smoked paprika. And I'm going to admit that I've seen smoked paprika countless times. I just never think of getting that for myself because I ask, how many recipes do I see myself using for that, honestly? Not too many of them, to tell you the truth. 2 here. Just wonder what I'm going to do to make this smoked, like if I omit it completely, or add an extra teaspoon of paprika for good measure. Hang on, it seems like I'm starting to run low here, so I only have like a tablespoon and a little bit here, like maybe a teaspoon. Good news is that I do have an extra paprika just in case, except this one is Hungarian paprika as opposed to standard paprika. What's the difference? I don't know, and I don't feel like looking it up just yet. But what I think I'm gonna have to do is get some scissors because this thing needs to be opened up. I can't pull it apart. There. Paprika situation is solved. So let's just finish that off. On quick glance, it doesn't look like there's a very big difference between the colors, so maybe it's just me. But I got 2 tablespoons worth, and I'll keep that aside. And once again, I'll do my cleanup a little bit later. And then the next thing I'm gonna need is 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. Almost feels like that's a lot of the basic spice mixes that I have. Use garlic and onion powder to varying degrees, so it's almost like those are basic elements. So let's see how much I have here. Oh yeah, and I'm also using granulated garlic as opposed to garlic powder because it's not going to be as powdery, or it's like not going to be a very smoky look. So there we go, got 1. Oops. Once again, some leakage. Okay, I made this a 2nd tablespoon, and it's a heaping one for good measure. Whoop! How does this spray out all the time? Crazy. All right. So next will be ground coriander by the looks of it. Let me just find my coriander over here. That I'm also going to need about 2 tablespoons worth. There's a lot of stuff that I make that seem to use coriander as well. Like, easiest example I could think of is my curry powder, which also uses cardamom, and I'll put a card in the top right corner if you want to watch that episode again. I'm going to keep plugging my curry powder because it's really one of my favorite spice mixes that I've done in the past, and I like to keep sharing it with people from time to time. Okay, this thing is going to be struggling, so let's give me a second. So the good news is that I did have enough coriander here, and I still had some in this jar that I was able to use for simplicity, which means I could keep this container aside. As much as I like these containers for how compact and stackable they are, if I want to refill my spice jars, they do seem to be a little cumbersome. I'll figure out something else later on. But yeah, I got my other tablespoon here. One thing I did notice too is that I forgot to put in my onion powder, which is one of the key ingredients in here too, since I was talking about the garlic powder. So luckily I need another 2 tablespoons, and then this is going to be the last of the very large ingredients, or like the heavy hitters for lack of a better term. So 2 tablespoons of onion powder. And just a little bit more here, and voila. Put that aside. I'm looking at this from my angle, and it's almost like potpourri. You know, if you're taking levels of colored sand, putting them one on top of the other, you make some kind of an art project. It's kind of what it reminds me of. Next thing, but I guess that's like one sidetrack, just me thinking out loud. But next I'm going to be needing, or all stuff as a tablespoon. So keep this simple here. Salt. I'm sure depending on who you talk to, they'll say table salt is the one you should avoid the most. There are better ones out there like sea salt, Himalayan salt, but I don't really know much about it because I'm not an expert in that subject, and I'm not going to get into that right now. So if anyone could clarify anything about that, leave in the comments, and I'll see maybe I can use that down the road for one of my projects. What's next here? Oregano, apparently. So 1 tablespoon worth of it. Oregano is like one of those seasonings I use a lot for most of my spices. So there's obviously the Greek salad seasoning that I use. I think I've used that in my steak spice before, but one thing I also put it in is in pizza sauce, because if you're making your homemade pizza sauce, oregano is the herb that you're going to be using in the largest quantity, like 2 tablespoons worth depending on your preferences. And yes, I do have a video about that, and I'll put a card in the top right corner for you to watch that one if you're curious about revisiting it. But anyways, next thing I'm going to do is, I guess parsley is another one. Something I really only use for coloring at times. Like if I want to add a little bit of green to my dishes, but not necessarily a flavor, like basil and especially oregano. But I think I've seen too that, or at least a friend of mine told me that if you're adding this to some sauces, what the parsley does is it helps to absorb the moisture from it, so it kind of helps thicken up a little bit more. Could be wrong, but you know, I could always look up that down the road. Now the parsley's done, the next thing I'm going to do is, hang on, just put a sprinkling in here, because it turns out I don't really need the tablespoon anymore. I'm moving on to the teaspoon now. So 2 teaspoons worth of ginger. Love this stuff. Fresh ginger is quite amazing too. And I do enjoy kimchi from time to time. I just never show it off on the channel, and considering that I'm Ukrainian and I like pickled stuff, like pickled, dill pickles, I like pickled beets, pickled horseradish. Actually, no, that's not pickled, but also the turnips you could get at the Lebanese restaurants. Maybe one of these days I should try to pickle that on my own. And if I'm adventurous enough, I could try to do my own sauerkraut. Because the reason I say adventurous is because that stuff, no matter how much I try to do it, it always gets moldy. So I have my own theories for what's going on with that, but I don't know, I digress about it. It's very strange. Now, okay, cardamom. I was talking about this before when I was talking about my curry powder recipe, and lo and behold, it's also used in this Piri Piri mix. So 1 and 2. Very distinct scent too, and the distinct flavoring. One other place I've encountered that before is, let's say if I was to go to Cafe Chez Teta on Rachel, close to Saint Laurent. They do have it's like a Lebanese, no, I think it's a Lebanese cafe, and then they have a cardamom cold brew that I've had, which is pretty nice. Another distinct flavor. Now what are we up to now? Okay, smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon worth. I have no idea if I'm even gonna need that, but what I do see I'm gonna need is a bit of cayenne pepper. And I'm only gonna need 1 teaspoon worth of that, although that's optional. Because apparently if you put 1 teaspoon of cayenne, this puts the spice level to level 1. You could always add a little bit more if you want to make it even spicier. So there, that's technically the last ingredient. Unless, you know what, I'll just add a little bit more paprika. It's not the smoke one like they're saying here, because they say to put 1 teaspoon worth, but at least it's going to make it a little bit more red in proportion. There. So now, that's all your ingredients. Everything you need here for your spice mix is there. So what you got to do next is, well, the usual thing whenever I do these mixes, seal it up, give it a good shake, make sure everything is blended in nice and well. Now let's see what the color on this is going to look like. There. And, okay, on quick glance, this is going to be your Piri Piri spice mix. So the big difference between this and I guess the Montreal steak spice mix is that it takes a lot less paprika, a lot less red here, and there's also no pepper, just a bit of cayenne, versus, oh yeah, the barbecue seasoning, I think it took a lot more paprika in here. Like, once again, this is like half a cup worth of it, so that was the most amount of paprika I've ever used in a spice mix ever. And there you have it. This thing, you keep it sealed up, and it's fresh for about a good 6 months. Maybe longer, because sometimes I use my spices a little longer than that if I'm not sharing it or if I'm not doing enough cooking, but that's besides the point. So you could put it on chicken, you could do like, what I wanted to do was chicken thighs on the barbecue. You could do it on whole chicken as well, because what I've seen people do is, like, if you're doing a Portuguese style chicken, is you butterfly it, or you cut open the chicken, flatten it up, and then apparently that lets it cook a little bit more evenly. I don't know. I'll try to see if I could do that one of these days if I'm experimental. But the most important step would be to get the cleanup done. And since it's clear skies now, I'm gonna get my barbecue started. And honestly, I think I'll keep this as a wrap for now, just to make it a simple episode. Because after doing all these long wander episodes, long barbecue episodes in the backyard, I feel like sometimes having these shorter episodes gives me a little bit of time to, do a quick episode without having to commit to 20, 30, even 40 minutes in some of them. It is what it is, but sometimes brevity is the soul of wit, as William Shakespeare once said. So, thanks for watching this latest edition of the Wanyuki Cheese Cafe. And if you like what you see, then you know what to do. Click that subscribe button below, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy the wanders I do, the stuff I prepare at home, the stories I share, and everything that comes with it. And if you have any ideas for the future, leave it in the comments and I'll see if I can incorporate it. Until then, take care, see you next time, and enjoy the ride. Oop, gotta get my thumbnail set up.